Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I'm Dustin. We are looking at TLRY once again, and what a day. You can see across the range here, we've got TLRY went down to $2.91. In one day, this thing was down 12%. Over 5 days, it's now rolling negative on a 5.83 negative return. Still positive on the 15-day, the 1 month, the 3 month, the 6 month. The 1 year is still negative. We can look here on the right here and look at 9 months of data in this range. We did obviously just kind of like I expected. If you watch my previous video, we bounced off of the top of the range. We hit the very top when we closed at 333. And then from there, we pretty much fell down back to the bottom, not necessarily to the bottom of the range, but at least in that direction. I mean, if you look, we still have 22% downside as well as 17% upside when we look at this overall range. The one thing that I do love, and I'm going to look at the raw data here, the one thing that I do love about what we've seen, at least until right now, is now after having the previous 7 days, 4 of those days had red lettering with a white background, which meant that it was 3 standard deviations above its mean. We are back in our standard deviation range. With the green background and the black lettering, that means we are 1 standard deviation away from that 23-day average. That is fantastic to see. And I do like that it did happen on much lower volume. If we would have seen a huge move down on big volume, like we'd seen in the previous day, we saw a big move up. We saw something over like 88 million or 100 or 95 million shares traded while the price dropped 12%. I would have been very concerned. But this is actually a very healthy correction if you look at it in the lens of a very big move over this course of time until right. And I say it because, again, being down 12% in 1 day, 5.5% in 5 days, we are still up 80% in 3 months. I mean, in 1 month, we're still up 10, 11%, which many stocks would want. They'd wish for that. They're up 16% in 15 days and still up positive on the 6-month return. Yes, quite a bit of drop. Yesterday, we were up 33% in the 6 months, and now we're only up 9.4, but that's still very healthy. We are positive. And when you start to look at the indicator, and not necessarily even an indicator, but the rolling return of the long-term returns, you want it to be consistently green because that gives you a longer-term good signal, same as you want to see on the 3-month. You see how long the 3-month was negative? It's been negative. It's actually only been positive since the middle of August or the very beginning of August, and that's when you wanted to buy, and that was at a price around $3. I mean, you're definitely below that price right now, which is quite concerning from the perspective if you bought then, but you were buying and you were believing in a breakout. We have to truly give opportunity for trends to manifest, and TLRY looks like it's got a great manifestation of trend going forward. A lot of demand is back in the stock. You see in the short term, we are go long on the intermediate term, or go long on the longer term, or go long. We're still bullish in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term. We have been bullish in this longer term indicator since it looks like we have been since the middle of July. Now, if you're interested in this indicator, I think that the long term indicator of a stock, I think for the trend, is one of the most powerful things. We're actually building an app here at Bootleg Macro. If you want to go ahead and subscribe to our New High newsletter or to the YouTube channel, you'll get much more information, but just wanted to point that out just because I think that's an important feature. Now we're looking at the rolling sentiment. I think one of the most important things is to see is that we do have a rolling bull or rising bull right now. We are at 60%. So this move back down from 60% today, tomorrow will be at 59%. On the 2-day rolling bullishness, on the 5-day, we're at 60%. Tomorrow we'll be at 59%. And on the 10-day, we haven't necessarily rolled over completely. Maybe we will make more highs, but we're at 58%. Now, you would expect from this level to see kind of a pullback. I'm going to look at what the signals are showing. I do see that it says that a coming falling bear is coming, which you would expect. And a falling bear means that we're going to get another one of these little zones where the rising sentiment flips back to a falling bear. Right now, we're at the rising bull, which you want to believe that it's going to last forever, but we've traded long enough to know that that's not possible. So if we look here at what we see in TLRY, we can see that coming falling bear. We do see a small bull, but it's probably best to believe that this is going to be a pullback. I mean, when you look at the weekly chart says that there's a lot of opportunity for the upside. I mean, the saddest day that we saw in all of TLRY, and I've mentioned this before, was definitely February 12th, 2021, RIP. Pour one out for the homies who bought it $67 because we are now down trying to hold 3. So you're down 90+%, probably 99%. And when we look at the overall chart, we haven't really gone anywhere in 9 months for TLRY. It is nice to see that we've essentially made recent highs. You know, we've come off of this bottom when it was at $1.50, which if you want to think about it from the perspective of TLRY in the sense of what it could be, this thing could be back in the 10s. It definitely could be back at 10. I think this, I don't know if this is how it worked, but it could definitely be back in 10. Why not? I mean, I don't know fundamentally. I don't look at that data, but this is one of those stocks that clearly has a lot of demand in the market, and that's why you can get 12% down days. We look at the daily sentiment indicator here. We can see we are kind of stretched, kind of like we mentioned already. We're at 63% on the daily. We're looking at the volume. The volume, we already reviewed this, but the volume essentially did fall today as the price fell, which is kind of nice. We look at the volatility. Now, this is what's interesting. The volatility is actually, it looks like it's starting to break out, and the correlation is still quite negative. Now, what we'd like to see is actually the correlation start to go positive. Since it is negative right now, it's negative 74%. We'd like to see it go positive while the volatility continues to rise, which is very possible from this level because the volatility has been much higher. The peaks have, at least on Tilray recently. I mean, you've had low volatility periods back here in April, some of these back in May. But if you look at what you're getting now, essentially Tilray shows that it has an opportunity to potentially make another hill of volatility. The correlation can go positive. There's a lot of opportunity here, truly, when you think about what Tilray offers somebody who's long. Now, I'm not necessarily long. I'm not really short. Again, this is not financial advice at all, but we look at the trade range, we can see that we do see the sell top was at 341. We pretty much hit that again at 331. The bottom is at 197. Now, I don't know if we're going to hit 197, but I do think that there's a lot of support to be believed in around 225. It looks like it's held somewhere around there a couple times, 230 to 220, somewhere in there. Maybe bouncing in the high teens, but if it doesn't break two, you'd really want to believe a lot in Tilray right now long term. Again, we're at the top of the range on the weekly. The top of the range is 340, which, as nuts as it is, we pretty much hit that yesterday at 331. I mean, you don't want to say that 340 equals 341 because it doesn't. But when you think about the context of a 3-year chart here, which is what we have of Tilray, being able to come within the top of the range that close, we haven't been able to do that since back in 2022. And that was probably the last true hope. I mean, if you think about it at the time, at the beginning of 2023, we saw a humongous pickup. 2022, at least the first couple of weeks of 2022, were really actually the bottom for most of the market. Tech still bottomed at the end of the month, but the rest of the stocks really essentially started to show some sort of like strength at the beginning of the month. Now, Tilray didn't follow through. That's obvious. Tilray, that was false strength. But what we can see now is that we're seeing something that looks at least a little bit similar, and it looks like we've had even more of a washout period. I mean, we've been around this $3 level since the middle of 2022. At in June of 2022, we were at 320, and now we're at 220. I don't even, which is hilarious, or 290. These prices seem very reasonable. It seems like the demand is very real. It seems like people are coming back into the market. We're at 60% on the short-term bullish. We're at 69. We're at 59% on the weekly. Things are looking great for Tilray, but tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the New High newsletter. We give you 25 stocks to your inbox, stocks between $5 and $20, stocks breaking out to 1-year highs, stocks breaking out to all-time highs. It's just new highs. It's a great list to look at on a Sunday before you start your trading week. But I'll talk to you soon.